I hereby call to order this meeting of the Triton Regional School Committee on January 22nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. I am Linda Lukowski, Chair of the School Committee. I want to welcome everyone here tonight. A reminder that this meeting is being audio and video recorded. I'm going to read our vision statement. We are a community of learners known for our unwavering commitment to meeting the needs of all students. Through the adoption of best practices and our active partnership with families in the wider community who are united in supporting the development of engaged, successful, responsible, resilient learners, students will be well prepared to be ethical, empathetic, and contributing citizens. Can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Oral communications from the public. Members of the public may address the committee for up to 3 minutes, longer with the permission of the chairperson. The committee will not engage in a discussion on topics raised during public comment, but may choose to add the topic to a future agenda. This agenda segment will be limited to 15 minutes. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the committee? Seeing none. The next item is the school improvement plans and FY27 budget proposals, and I'll hand it off to Brian.
So we do not have any SIPs tonight, but we do have the four final district budget presentations for you this evening. I know, are we going to go in order if we do technology and then curriculum? So we'll do John and then Anna and then Shannon with student services. And then we have John Skinicki, who is our facilities director, who is joining Rich. So I think they'll probably sit at the table together because there's a lot of stuff. John has gotten intricately involved and has been a real asset. So glad to have him here with us so we can take you through that. So yeah, so we can start with technology, but first I just want to confirm, yes, I understand there's a snowstorm coming, and yes, I will make the call at the appropriate time. But please keep emailing everyone.
And it's not depending on the Broncos and Patriots, right?
The level of energy in my call on Sunday will depend on the outcome of the game potentially, but it will not, I vow that it will not affect my call. It will be based on the merits of the snow and Mother Nature.
Take it away?
Take it away.
Wow, that's loud. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time tonight. I realize that you've all had a couple of late nights the past couple of nights, so hopefully tonight moves along quickly for everyone's sake. I'm presenting the district technology budget requests for FY27. But before I get into the line items, I just want to say that I sincerely appreciate being part of the team to support this district. I've been with Triton for just over a year now, and I've been impressed with the cooperation, thoughtfulness, and dedication that I've seen from our administrators and our staff, with the ultimate goal of providing the best learning environment for our students. So over the next year, I plan to work with our technology committee, building principals, and staff to work towards technology upgrades for our staff devices. Our staff devices lease is up at the end of this school year. We also are looking at display options for our classrooms. We have many projectors through our classrooms that are pretty outdated, have dim bulbs, sometimes hard to see with the lights on or if the sun is coming through a classroom window. We also have some pretty outdated smart boards that are like 15 plus years old in some cases. And our goal is going to be to phase in some new technology. We're looking at interactive touch panels or projectors with touch capability that could be used over a whiteboard. So, I'm excited to see about rolling some of those out to our schools over the next few years. So, getting into the executive summary, the first page talks about our staffing levels. Our technology department for the district is supported by 2 level 1 technicians who provide daily hardware, software, and device support, and also 2 Level 2 technicians who manage both user support and critical infrastructure such as servers, networking equipment, firewalls, and building systems. This fiscal year 27, there are no staffing request changes for the tech department. The next page,
John, can I just interject?
of course.
Just to note that it's been a few years now, I don't know the exact numbers, but we had a full-time data specialist that focused on both the technology side of data and the kind of curriculum side of data. And that then was pared back to a half-time, and then it was pared back, I think, 2 years. This is now the second year. That function is largely absorbed by John as the Director of Technology and Anna's assistant, Kayla. So just to acknowledge, there is nothing being proposed here, but it's become a very lean department. And I also should have taken the time to introduce John formally. He's old hat to us, but he hasn't spent a lot of time, speaking publicly or with the school committee. He came to us just about a year ago around the holidays and brought an incredible technical expertise, which has been a real asset. And, regardless of who we're speaking with, it's been great to have him join the team, again, with the 2 lower-level technicians and then the kind of senior-level technicians that are into the larger networking and data systems. But just appreciate everything you've brought to the table, but did just want to note here that no proposals, but it is a lean department. Carry on.
Thank you. So getting to the supplies, services, and budget requests, there is one line item you'll see a change of $18,000 for the IT contracted services. This request is to help cover our Tyler hosted system, which is used for our payroll and accounting, but also includes modules for HR and form workflows. We currently have an online platform called DocuBee, which is used for our forms and workflows, but DocuBee is changing the terms of their service, so we're going to be migrating all of our forms over to the Tyler platform at some point over the next year. That's the only small request I was making off the sheets. I feel like a small funding request. I can't promise it'll be that small the next, upcoming years. But at that time, I'll be happy to, give any details for reasons why and how we would need whatever we're requesting at that time. As far as the technology goes for our district, I feel like we're moving in the right direction. We're going to continue to strive to ensure that we have updated infrastructure and equipment for our students and staff to make sure that they're successful within our schools. And I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
I just want to jump in and clarify one thing. So regarding John's contracted services line, he was actually making everything work within the confines of the number that you saw from last year. That increase was due to the changes that we made to Tyler earlier this year. So that was a me and HR and accounting and not a John. John has made everything that existed in his department work with the money that he had.
Thank you. Yeah, it actually surprised me because I put in for 0 and then I saw the 18. I was like, what is that for?
And right. And in fairness, there was some of it was in the central office line at one point for DocuBee, for instance, and we are going to move that money. So, but yes, John made it work.
And one more comment, just that you mentioned it quickly in passing, but it's been several years since we had a functioning technology committee. And so John got that rolling this year, involving parents and staff, and we'll be talking about the technology needs, not just making assumptions, but talking about are Chromebooks the right devices into the future. And as he mentioned, it's display technology in classrooms right now. That is the most pressing issue, where we have brand new technology at Pine Grove, and we know there'll be a solution here at this campus, but 2 other buildings that have some pretty significant needs. So thank you for your work on that, John.
Thank you.
I promise I'll stop talking.
Does anybody have any questions?
This is going to be a rich question.
No postage on this one.
No, but if the data phone services is 0 net increase, decrease, the numbers are not lining up, and then the math doesn't work out. Yeah.
Probably a typo.
Yep. I will edit that.
Do you know which one's correct? Is it the 2027, fiscal year 27 number, or the cost increase decrease?
I could pull up a sheet. on
No,
that.
so the 113,677 would be correct, so that I
Okay.
just need to make sure that they jive on the right side on the bottom.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody, go ahead, Paul.
Mr. Poole, while you're looking at that graph, the all technology line items, 1142, 811, if you were to add either $18,000 or $20,000 to that, it doesn't come out to 1203, 811. I'm
That's because
just
of
wondering
the
if you could
typo.
revisit that.
Understood.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that all of these are going to sum automatically next year, aren't they? I see the look on your face like.
I would like the school committee to perhaps take a look at the budget process. It is a little on the archaic side. And
That
use some of the
hurts.
things that we're paying good money for.
Fair.
It's a lot of manual back and forth effort that it's not a good use of time.
You can look to the guy on your left. I said you can look to the guy on your left.
Yeah,
Oh, I already blamed him, don't
yeah. Message received.
Does anybody else have anything else? Well, I think you're the quickest. I appreciate, I appreciate all the work that you and your staff do.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate
If you
it.
can keep every year at 0, we'd love it.
All right. We'll just go right down the line. We're in order here. So, Dr. Bates, to talk about curriculum and instruction.
Thank you. So for tonight's curriculum and PD budget proposal, the drivers behind this are similar to what they have been in the past years, is to make sure we're providing students with learning experiences that are supported by high-quality instructional materials, and that we provide our educators with the professional learning and the tools to fully implement those materials. I always put a note in here too that given the way that a number of these instructional materials are sold with licenses for various numbers of years, there is variation in this line. And you'll see, I can talk through some of the detailed changes, but like we ended a 6-year social studies license, so we are kind of responding to that. I guess I'll just talk through some of the recent curriculum adoptions and then what is potentially proposed for next year and then how the budget would support those. So in 24-25, we implemented mathematics in pre-K. This year, we are implementing mathematics in grades 7 through Algebra 2, as well as social studies in grade 5, and these are all instruction materials that you've sort of approved the adoption of. Proposed for next year, we are currently piloting in social studies in grades 4, 6, and 7. We have potential to implement science, technology, and engineering in grades 7 and 8. We are currently exploring materials in grade K through 8. And world language, grades 7 through 8, that is the same world language materials that are used at the high school level that the committee approved adoption of, I believe, 2 years ago. So the plan would be, rather than in 7th grade, students having half a year of French and half a year of Spanish, to make that choice earlier, to get 2 full years of a language at the middle school level, supported with 1 year of the book, so, or the curriculum. So over 7th and 8th grade, they would be covering the same material that's covered in either Spanish 1 or French 1. allowing students at the high school to enter into a second year of a language. So that is something we haven't piloted at the middle school. The middle school teachers were exploring and the materials at the same time we were for the high school. The budget didn't work out for the purchase of them at that time, but now we'd like to propose the adoption of those two. So I'll likely be bringing that back to you. So that's it for new instructional materials. There are no proposals for staffing changes. And then I can kind of talk through a few of the changes in really professional development and then instructional materials and text, which are the two lines that we have some variation in. So we have a reduction in professional development in service, which is reflective of more professional learning being facilitated by our own educators, which I think is a wonderful thing. I've also been able to more strategically use some grant funding to support professional learning, and I hope to be able to continue to do that as well. The instructional materials and text line is increased for a number of reasons. Science, technology, and engineering is a expensive subject to support because of the hands-on materials that are required for it. So that is included in this. The world language text also is included in the instructional materials text. And another driver of this increase is the purchase of the math curriculum for grade 7 through Algebra 2, which was initially budgeted for last year, but never encumbered at the time, so we had to send back the text that we used during the pilot and purchased a one-year license for our teachers. So this includes a multi-year license, 5 years of licensing for our students and teachers, which was what we were supposed to have, or what I had initially budgeted for in last year's budget proposal. Let me think. We also had an expiration of a 6-year license for grades 6 and 7 social studies. So this includes a 1-year license. If we end up implementing the instruction materials that we're piloting, that is an open source material, which means there would be no cost for instructional materials. So given that I don't know exactly what the pilot team is going to recommend, I did include 1 year of licenses for the McGraw-Hill resource that we currently use. And then we had just a small reduction in contracted services as well due to some renegotiated contracts that John took care of for me. He's very good. I want him to do that for my cable bill at home as well. Are there any questions?
And I just have a question about the professional development course reimbursement. That's $42,500. Do you feel as though that's being tapped really quickly, or is it proportionately throughout the year?
It's hard to, so this year I can tell you it hasn't been. We rolled over funds from the summer into the fall and from the fall into this last sort of bucket. The previous year, it was expended. So it's I don't know I think has it only been 2 years with this $1,000 reimbursement? 3, I guess, yeah.
3, yeah.
So I think it varies. It may vary based on who's enrolled in programs and who's up for relicensure, but this year it seems to be enough.
Thank you.
If it's helpful, I think the most we see per warrant cycle is maybe like 4 claims, because those come through the warrants just like any other payment does. And it's not like we're seeing tons of them on a warrant cycle.
Does anybody, go ahead.
Anna, for the language that they would be doing in 7th and 8th, does that count towards their 2 years of language for graduation, or is that something separate?
That's a great question.
What was the question? Can you repeat the question?
So the 2 years of language, I don't believe those 2 years, 7th and 8th grade, they'd really be covering as one. I would need to look into this and also talk with Patrick about it. In my mind, it's similar to offering algebra in 8th grade and using the same materials and the same course and receiving the same sort of, not high school, but credit for it. But I don't want to, my idea of how this works may be different than from the state, so I would want to check that out.
Does anybody have anything else? I just want to say that I'm happy to hear that our staff are taking over some of the PD. I think you had said that in the past few years, that you foresee that happening. I think that's a great way to help keep the budget line down and to make sure that our teachers. I just have a question on, I know you don't have the professional development, what you're going to have, but are you going to have professional development still to make sure that the math and science and all that continue? Because I know in years past, we've had professional development to help teachers make sure that they're using the new math programs and the new science programs to the way that we're supposed to. It's kind of like a check-in. So I don't know if you're doing that with staff or...
Yeah, in recent years, I feel like have moved away a little bit from publishers providing that ongoing professional development, I think for a few reasons, and one being, I think with ESSER funding, these publishing companies grew so quickly, and they have so many people who have never been in classrooms before, and they're the ones who were paying thousands of dollars and flying out to support our teachers. So we generally do an upfront launch with the company and the publisher, and then we've been working sometimes with consultants. Often the consultants are the sort of coaching our own staff in how to continue to support teachers. So most of the time it's not providing new information to those who are using a resource. It's ensuring that we have implementation team meetings set up, that we have structures to have conversations about what's working and what's not, and if something comes up that they need technical assistance with using a platform, then we schedule that. So I think it's different than we used to look at it, where we'd say, okay, we're going to fly these people out 3 times a year to make sure that we're still moving the process forward. So yeah, there's always an implementation plan. There's always professional learning, there's always support, but it looks a little bit different right now.
Okay. Thank you, because I know the way you've presented it in years past, trying to make sure that the math and science teachers had somebody to talk to.
Absolutely.
But you have it
Yeah.
under control, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I would say with math, we are so fortunate to have such strong educators as math specialists at the elementary and middle school. We have teachers, strong science teachers, but we don't have that role to support the implementation of a new program. So that whenever we get to that point at the elementary level, that's going to be a challenge.
Does anybody have anything else? Okay, I think you're right there with...
Was it tie?
Continuing on down the line.
Okay. Shannon Nolan, I'm Director of Student Services. Oh, well, I introduced myself. I'm used to that at meetings. So I'm here to present the Student Services budget, and I know I've said this the past couple of years, and I know all you know this, but you know, the needs of our students have become intense. For many of our students, we need to provide more services for. Many of our families, we're working to support outside of school, and so that when that happens, it affects all parts of the budget. So the first thing I'm going to start with is a request for a full-time ETC position, and an ETC runs our special education meetings. The role of the ETC often in the elementary level is the first, when a student is referred for special education, it is the first person from special education that parents maybe have communication with. It's their first experience with special education. And we're finding that the number of meetings, not just IEP meetings, but consult meetings with families, consult meetings with staff, emails, and phone calls, and just all together, even meetings with students. The numbers are increasing, and our ETCs are not finding the time to be able to finish everything, to be able to really spend the time that they need on each case. When they're not able to do that, trust gets broken with families, and it's important for them to be able to spend the time with the families, with the students, with the staff, to be able to really look at each case and really make the decisions that need to be made for the students. So if we have one more full-time ETC, that will take some of the demands off of the current ETCs we have. We are seeing so many more requests for evaluations. We're seeing a lot more requests for reevaluations to open up eligibility again. So when an ETC comes in, over the summer, we look at how many reevals do you have? And then those are the meetings they'll have to run, and then we can project, how many initials did you have last year? But what's happening is we're having initials, and then 2 months later, we're having the initials again, and parents are getting neuropsychs, so then we're re-coming to the table to look at the neuropsych. So one meeting turns into maybe 3 or 4. So, and that's part of the job, but they need to have time to be able to spend on those cases. So the caseloads don't reflect what the work that they're putting into it. So if you look at on page 5, there's a chart, and these are only official IEP meetings, and I think it's the past 3 years and then projected for this year. So as you can see, they're not decreasing. We're seeing more. Their caseloads are increasing a little bit. Sometimes they're decreasing, but the meetings that they're having are staying around the same. So that is my first request for a full-time ETC. The second thing I'm looking at is a school psychologist. I know I came last year and we talked about a school psychologist. So I'm looking for a 0.5 school psychologist. Again, a school psychologist is one of the most important members of the team because they guide the team through eligibility. So when a school psychologist has an eligibility meeting, they need to do their testing, but they need to have the time also to analyze the academic testing and to be able to look at both the profile and the testing and be able to speak to that to help the team make an eligibility decision. And without having the time to do that, again, sometimes if you don't have the time to put into it, then again, it's the trust with the families, the trust with the teams. Our psychologists also have a cap in the contract of 30 cases, and they meet that very quickly. So we end up having to contract out. So they're working, our school psychologists, again, they look at their reevaluations that they have every year. Then we have initials. But again, if a family goes out and gets a neuropsych and we haven't tested the student yet, or we haven't recently tested the student, that's often another test for the psychologist to do because we always want our own testing. We want to make decisions based on our own testing. So they also have to, when a neuropsych comes in, they also have to present that report. So there's a lot of things that are just piling up on their cases too. So I'm asking for a part-time. This year we've already contracted out for approximately $52,000 for work for testing for our school psych, above and beyond what our school psychologists are doing. And then the third staffing addition that I'm asking for is a district counseling coordinator. It's very similar to what Patrick spoke about yesterday. This is just more of a district-wide position. And this position will support our counselors. Our counselors we've been trying to provide them more PD and more up-to-date targeted PD, and they need consultation. They need somebody who can evaluate them, that is in their field, that understands their position. And then also with the attendance plan that we have, somebody to kind of oversee that and support schools in implementing the attendance plan. Those are the staffing additions that I'm asking for. The next part of it is, if you move on to page 6, it's the special ed contracted services. And special ed contracted services, again, is just services on IEPs that may be low incidence disabilities that we don't have a member of the staff that can service the students, such as we often contract out for vision and mobility, teacher of the deaf. We have assistive technology evaluations that we don't have a tech person to evaluate for us. Again, psychological tests. So those all come from our contracted service line. We also have seen independent educational evaluations, which is we have to pay for if they're requested by parents. I've seen 3 of those this year. So those, I'm seeing an increase in that testing, and that comes off of our contracted services. And just IEPs, the natural growth of IEPs and 504 services. So that is our contracted services line, and that's also we also added an increase, a 3% annual increase. The next is special education supplies, and the special education supplies, the increase includes the 3% annual increase in supplies, but also our programs. We have many more students in our programs, which is wonderful because we're keeping our students in district, but that requires more classroom supplies. So it requires iPads. Many of our students use AAC devices, which are the iPads. We also have students, we're really working hard to implement technology in the classroom for our students who maybe have a specific learning disability in reading and struggle with accessing the curriculum. So instead of assigning a person to them, you use technology to help support them in the classroom. So that also costs money in our supplies budget. The impact of our special ed transportation is approximately $132,000 increase. That comes out of, I know I've talked about this before, when we place students out of district, we used to be able to place students in the same schools, to be able to transport them together. Now with, and then we would save money by putting them on the same vans, but now with the complex needs our students have and the wait lists that our out-of-district schools have, we don't really have that ability. It's kind of like you take what you can get. So we're not able to, as much. We still try to do it when we can. We also communicate with other districts. Do you have a student going this way to this school? And we'll try to share costs. But that does impact our special education transportation when we can't share costs. Also, the circuit breaker, we were kind of cautiously estimated in the budget this year, circuit breaker, because in the past we've estimated it. We didn't get as much as we thought we would, so that estimate was decreased a bit. Then the contractual increases for NRT, and we did include potential out-of-district placements. So when we place a student out, we have to include the transportation. So we did include that in this transportation. And the summer programming, the budget impact is about $6,000, and that just includes our 3% salary and the 3% increase in supplies. And then the last is the out-of-district tuitions. The budget impact is approximately $548,000. So this includes we have brought many of our students back in district. If you look at the chart that's on page 10, you can see that each year the total out of district has decreased. But this increase includes a 10% increase for annual tuition costs. So we included that in the increase. We also included spots for students that maybe move in and have already been placed out of district, students who can no longer be educated in our district. It's so hard to project. I mean, I know students now, but that can change tomorrow. So it is a difficult thing to project. And so we put a few more spots in this year than we have in the past because we are seeing an increase in just there's an increase in the demands for what families feel their students need. So that is the student services budget.
And if I can just say one thing on the tuition, so that includes students who are both at Crest and North Shore Consortium in the collaborative board, which obviously we have a seat at that table. And so I think Crest will be in the 4.5% to 5%, and I think Crest will be, and then North Shore a little higher than that. But what we can't predict is the private placements, and that's year over year, we hear that petition the state to control that, and they've given 14% increases, so we're waiting to hear what that rate will be. But until we hear otherwise, we have to assume worst-case scenario, so hopefully this number refines as we go through this process.
Does anybody have any questions for Anna?
Yes. I think that, and I'm very loud, surprise, surprise. Yes, I think that could happen for sure. And I've seen that if the ETC doesn't have time to put into a case or misses something, then yes, that could cost a lot to the district for sure. So we have to be very careful with the cases, and often ETCs are we have consult meetings with teams to talk about testing and to look at, how the student's doing and things like that. And those are just more meetings that the ETCs are having, but we have to have them because things are so much more complex now.
I would just say, I think there is a cause and effect. It's not a guaranteed, right? So that it's a potential that we have to mitigate against, but it's not a guarantee that it's automatically going to happen, that those things are happening, so.
Yep. And there's timelines we have to meet, so if there's only so many hours in the day, if you have to re-meet, you have to meet within the timelines, and if you miss the timeline, that does cause issues.
Is it working? Yeah. On the chart on page 3, I just want to make sure I'm not missing it. That's a total increase of 2.5 FTEs, right? Because I believe it should be 30.8.
Yeah. It's missing the psychologist. Thank you.
The new one.
Must be, it's here. I think you have it here. School counseling professional, but you have a 1.0. Oh, no, that's
No, that's your new one.
Yeah. So it must not have.
Yeah, no, they're there.
But I don't know.
There's a bunch of us over,
Yeah, they're all there. It's
You just didn't add it.
The bottom.
Right.
The bottom.
The school psychologist, there's 2.5, it's just the bottom's off. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The people are right.
This one's working.
Oh, this one's working. Okay, this one's working. This one's working.
If Brian thinks it might be a charging issue, can we charge these just in case, if these are toward the end?
I believe that they just need to be, like, resynced. They could die out again, but.
Yeah, it's like 24 hours for charge. They don't charge quick. If they're dying, there's no quick.
I should have brought my battery thing.
I have this one. Okay, does anybody have any questions for Shannon? I think Owen had a question. Oh, I was busy.
I found it. Can you find a half-time school psychologist?
Yes, there are, when did we, I think this summer, like, we interviewed some, because we like to have some on, that we contract with. So, yes, people who did apply were interested in a part-time position. So they are out there. I'm not saying we can find one right away, but we did talk to school psychologists this summer that were interested.
Looks like very different than a teaching position, right?
Right.
It's something where someone may have a private practice and also wants to do some hours here and stuff. So one of the easier ones to find part-time.
Okay, I have a question on the home tutoring. I see that that line is 0. Do you not expect anybody to be home tutored?
Yep, no more home tutoring, we're closed. No, yeah, that line stayed the same. We didn't have to increase it. It's level funded for home tutoring.
Can you explain that? I don't understand what that means.
What home tutoring is?
No, I understand what that. I understand what it is, but if you have an increase in kids that get hurt, or we're okay with that?
So we still have the money, there just wasn't a budget impact, it stayed the same.
Right. But I'm just saying, there's no impact if how many kids you have to tutor or not tutor?
You know, we've followed like it's hard to project.
Right.
But we've looked at what we've done in the past, and the line that we have right now seems to meet what we need.
Okay.
Seems to meet our needs.
Okay, thank you.
Yep,
We'll make up for that elsewhere.
yeah,
Well, I have
We
another
always do.
question. The school psychologist,
yes.
if we were to hire somebody, would that lessen how many contracted services you would need?
Yes, because what we do is when our school psychologists now get to their cap, we contract out. So we would still need it. We still use, for some cases, we do use a PhD level school psychologist. And so we still would need to contract for specific cases. But that line should drop because we wouldn't have to contract out anymore. Those cases would just be assigned to our part-time school. So we would be able to distribute the cases more evenly.
And the ETC, is that for just the elementary school?
So there's a few different scenarios, and I know our high school ETC, she's full-time but very overwhelmed. So I've looked at a few different scenarios of how we could use that position to help all of our ETCs.
Okay. I don't have any more questions. Does anybody else have any more?
Just on the private school tuitions, I lost the page now because I had scrolled back to look at something else. It has a note, private day schools has a note of 1 hold plus for a possible move-in, but I'm assuming there's also some standard increases built into that line. Do you know what the breakdown is? Just out of curiosity, I'm wondering if that's a $300,000 move-in or a $80,000 move-in.
I'm not sure how we built that in. How much did we put in that for the move-in? You're asking me how much we built in for the move-in?
Yeah, versus just an increase in the tuition.
So private school tuitions usually go around 80.
I think it was like 120.
Did we do 120? Okay. So I think I can find out for sure for you.
Okay, I just
Sandy
be
went through
curious.
all of them and
But private
went from most
schools,
common.
private schools are definitely more expensive than the public. But I
Okay.
can get that for you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Anybody have anything else? Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. So now, probably take Shannon's, hers is dying too, the red light.
You gotta hold it. You have to hold it. Till it turns green.
It's thinking, it's doing different colors.
Put it close to your mouth and see if it's working.
Is this, hello? All right. All right, so good evening, everybody, again. Wanted to move up here, that way John and I didn't awkwardly fumble through this with one of us in the stands and one up there. So the district operational budget, or the central office budget, has everything that the schools don't have in it. So I just want to remind everybody that what's in front of you right now is based on the fall adjusted budget, which, if you remember back to the fall, we closed that $350,000 gap that the budget was passed with last year. We realigned some things, and we were able to do all of that without cutting any staff or any existing programming, and obviously it didn't increase any assessments to the towns. So I just want to emphasize up front that this is it is as lean of a budget as we can put forward right now, obviously not knowing what the governor's budget looks like. And it maintains sort of business as usual. This is not asking for anything new at the district level or any new bells and whistles or anything like that. Obviously, principals and special education had some asks, definitely probably needed asks, but you will not see those in the district budget itself. Some major drivers, personnel is always a huge thing, right? Currently, our two largest labor units are in negotiations, and that brings a certain level of unknown and how that shakes out and how that impacts the budget going forward. That said, we've built in some money, and you can see that right in right on page 6. We have some funds built in there for all of our collective bargaining units, as well as a line built in to give a 3% cost of living adjustment to our non-unit employees. Aside from the salaries, other big drivers, cost of healthcare. We met with our Maya rep probably around Thanksgiving time, and he had given us an estimate of approximately 18% for healthcare for our actives. We just went up to 18% for our retirees on January 1st. He has given us 13% as a number for next year. So that's the number that was used for this, for our MedX and our retiree plans, and then 5% for dental. The Maya board is meeting, I believe, this weekend, and one of the big discussions on the table for them is the coverage of GLP-1 drugs, which is one of the things that's really driving healthcare costs for everybody, not just us. So pending how that goes, we could see a significant drop in that 18% estimate. So we're hoping that within the next week, we have some sort of a better idea of what that number will be. And hopefully that 18% is just a kind of sticker shock that I scared you with tonight, and we get some good news on the end of the week. But that's kind of a TBD now, so I'm trying to give you a worst case scenario. Likewise, we did see this year, in talking with Katie Zarba, we have a significantly higher population of students in foster care at this point, and they are being transported in from further distances. Further distance, more cost. So we're significantly we're actually already over what we've budgeted for this year. So the numbers that are there, they're big numbers, but based on what we're seeing, unfortunately, they're realistic for our foster and homeless transportation. The other big thing, obviously, transportation. We are under our contract with Beacon and NRT, but of course, that does give us some predictability. We know what we are going to be paying based on the number of routes that we have. The figure that you have in front of you is our 2-tier service for our day routes. It also includes 3 days of late buses, one bus to each town, one bus to each of the towns from the middle high school campus. Aside from those items, the next thing would be the contribution to OPEB. We continue that, I believe, this year. This year is the $150,000 contribution, which is, of course, $75,000 over last year. So there's another big increase. And then there are some pretty significant facilities increases that we've seen over the past year since I've been here, and certainly that John's seen since he's been here for the past 2 years. And I know, John, you want to talk about some of these a little bit, just to talk through them?
Well, yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I think some of the costs we've seen just related to some preventative maintenance programs that weren't in place that we've put in place. Rowley is one of them with the septic waste system. That's a new system that'll be going in place. We've implemented it now, budgeting for it next year. Maintenance contracts, snow removal renewed. We saw an increase on that line there. Cleaning as well. And then a lot of the facilities, we'll see utilities have increased significantly. Electricity, gas, fuel, all of those have jumped significantly. I think that happened and you adjusted the budget in FY26 related to some of that. We've also accounted for, I think, a 3% increase on each of those lines moving into FY27. HVAC systems, as we see in the buildings, they're all aging. Salisbury right now is working towards new HVAC systems. We're working on grant applications to try and get money to get new systems in, create more efficiencies. But in that meantime, we probably have a year or so. We're seeing some pretty expensive repairs. So we're trying to capture all that here. We had a $15,000 boiler repair this year. I mean, these systems are old, they're aging. We're trying to maintain them best we can to keep safe, comfortable building environments. And I think we're all heading in the right direction. We've been having better communication with the towns, more in touch with the work that's going on and the improvements that we're working towards. Newbury, this year, we've been in touch with them consistently. They are moving currently on phase 1 of an HVAC project, where we're upgrading all the systems, all the rooftop units, installing heat pumps, creating more efficiencies. So we will hopefully over the next 2-3 years start to see the utility costs decrease at these schools. But again, we're years away from that happening. The expenses are continuing to rise on HVAC repairs, contracted services. I have a mechanic up there today on the roof at Newbury Elementary trying to get the heat working on 2 of the rooftop units. So we're continuing to see failure on those as we work towards the newer systems. Those are the major drivers of that increase.
Yeah, and just to kind of drive home, John has done a really great job building a better relationship with the towns in terms of communication about how things are going at the buildings. And I know in particular at Newbury, they've worked a lot together. Salisbury, Neil Harrington has been great in meeting with us, and they're pursuing some grants together. We had a call today where we were talking about a future accelerated repair project for their roof, potentially with the MSBA next year when they open that up again. But in the interim, we have this kind of agreement where anything over $20,000 goes back to the town, but we don't necessarily have an agreement on what happens when you have 3 $15,000 things that are 3 separate things. And that's kind of what's been happening. So John mentioned we just did a boiler repair that's $15,000, and I think we have another one that we're probably going to have to do. And it's really a short-term fix that it will get us through. But in doing so, it might also make us a little bit more, a little bit less energy efficient. So it's going to cost us more on the other end when it comes to fuel. So, you know, these are all the things that are kind of going on right now. And obviously we've got the snow coming, we've got a cold snap coming. Things happen to plumbing during cold. So, you know, we went ahead, we reached out to the principals and asked them to, you know, put a kind of gentle freeze on the budget and just make sure that you're putting things through for purchase that really need to be purchased right now, just to try to get us over this hump, so that we can keep money for the emergency situation. So we are definitely trying to be frugal in the facilities department while also being as preventative as possible. That's it. All the good news.
Does anybody have any questions?
Really quick. Quick questions.
Quick questions before your mic dies.
I will say that the technology budget was actually correct. That 3 was a typo. It is 111, so the bottom line was correct. It's that pesky bottom number.
I guess nobody has any questions.
I can go first if you want.
Actually a big increase in the current year.
And that I completely glazed over that. School choice and charter.
That is twofold. It is an increased number of students. Wow, I can hear it getting close to me. It's an increased number of students who are physically choicing out, as well as for TECA in the virtual Commonwealth virtual schools. They almost doubled the cost that we're charged for a student attending TECA, mostly TECA, and our numbers at that school have increased. Again, a family can just choose to enroll their child at the virtual academy, and we get that bill. So, but just to clarify, it is the TECA problem, if you will, but it is also an increased number of students who are choosing to choice out of the district. So we just got that roster from the department about a week and a half ago. So to be able to break out and understand which grade level and where to, we don't yet have a full snapshot of that, but that's in the works.
And Brian saying that reminded me of 2 other things that I glossed over that may draw your attention as you're looking through this. You'll notice a sharp increase in legal fees. If you look historically at our budget, there's really one legal line. It's broken up into 2 separate items. School committee, which is, you know, typically anything superintendent's office or school committee, and then student services, which a lot of the times is special education, but it's also Title IX and that sort of thing. And it has been the same amount of money for probably the last 3 or 4 years. And I am here to tell you that as of today, we have spent $78,000 in legal fees as of today. across all areas. So definitely something, hopefully we put it in there, we don't have to use it. But the reality is there's just a lot of litigation happening with special education, Title IX. It's something that we have to plan for.
Hi. Oh, is it working? Maybe. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry, a little different than our regular mic setup. All right. I just wanted to make sure that I got the insurance information correct to start out with. So MedX went up 18% this January 1st. Is that
Yes,
accurate?
but we split it between the 2 years.
Right.
So it's not a straight 13 or 18% that you see in the budget. It's half of that number.
Yes. Okay. All right. But I just want to make sure I had the number right.
Correct.
And it magically matches the estimate for actives? Because that doesn't usually happen, which is why I was like, maybe I got it wrong.
Yeah. So our increase for January 1, 2026 for MedX was 18%.
Yeah.
He being Larry, our Maya guy, is estimating that our January 1, 2027 increase will be 13% for MedX. That's what he's estimating as of today.
Sure.
For our actives, which is effective July 1st, we were told anywhere between 15 and 20%.
Okay.
And then for dental was a 5 kind of across the board.
Okay. And then just to carry a number in this document, you're carrying 18% for next year. Is that correct? Okay.
For the actives.
For the actives.
So
yeah.
so that is the active employees that we have today with the plans that they have today. That's the other big. Yeah.
Okay. And dental is 5%.
5% based on the same number.
Okay. All right.
So whatever plan they have today, add 5% to that cost.
Okay. And that was also from Larry. So this is a.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then similar with like our property and liability insurance, that was a 6.5% that came from our insurance agent. I think, let's see if there are any. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it for the insurance.
Okay. Skipping totally away from that, I had a question about, oh gosh, now I have to find it again. This is the one downside to working on my laptop all the time is there's no way to mark up notes in the file. Should have looked while you were answering that last question. There's one, it's a line item, I'm trying to remember what it was right now. I think it's in middle school, high school, oh, there it is. Middle school, high school, the wastewater and hazardous waste line looks like it drops $90,000 between last year and the current year and the coming year. Is that accurate, or is that?
Sorry, where are you looking?
Sorry, it's supplement page 8. It's in the top section, 4220. And it's the second line, and it looks like fiscal year 26 budget was 198,599.
Yeah, so I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole as far as how the 2026 budget was created and what gave you the numbers kind of on the left side.
Okay.
But I can tell you that for the past 6 months, John has gone through every single purchase order and invoice to try to budget out correctly on what we are actually spending.
Okay.
And what he believes we would spend given kind of a market increase. And that's the number that you see on the right.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that, John.
Yeah.
And Rich, because I'm sure you were involved in that at some point.
And I mean, if you look at some of the other, like, for instance, the schools, on the left side, you might just see one big whole number.
Yeah.
And not broken down. We specifically asked principals and department heads to break those down further this year.
Okay. All right. And my other question is, in that same section, the addition of stadium and, it's stadium and interior building repairs. So stadium, I guess, was that carried elsewhere? I don't even know where that was carried. I think it was.
Probably carried under just contract service,
Okay,
it's just a lump sum.
okay,
So that includes, turf maintenance, drain cleaning, field lining.
Okay.
outfield lining, Just the turf and track maintenance, really.
okay. And we're just pulling it out to have a look at it separately because it's,
Like building this budget out just so we can.
Cool.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just so we can see each line clearly, right? So before it was all kind of lumped into contracted services.
okay,
This kind of just put your eyes on where the money's actually going.
okay. And interior building repairs is the line right below that. Is that the outbuildings or is that,
Nope,
it seems high for that?
interior building repairs is just kind of catch-all for
For
this campus.
entire campus?
Yep.
Okay, all right, that makes more sense. I was kind of wondering how that worked out. And I feel like I had one more, but I'm gonna have to go searching for it, so I'm hoping someone else has a question that they can fill in between. No.
So like when you get the report at Finance Subcommittee, it's typically always just said contracted services. Now, if the committee says, hey, we want it broken down a little bit further to see where it's going, we can actually do that. We can break it out by type of expense, type of contracted services, whether that be elevator repair, et cetera.
I appreciate you, Rich. Thank you for that.
I'm not going to print you a 30-page report every time, though, so.
No. I cannot find my last question. I apologize. I know where to find you to come get an answer when I figure it out.
Does anybody else have any questions for? Nope, thank you.
Alrighty.
Okay. Wrapping this up before the mic dies. So again, that's the final night. The next steps in the process, we have next Wednesday, we will receive the governor's budget, or if not, potentially the day before. But by next Wednesday is the deadline for her budget to be issued. Obviously, the first take at Chapter 70 is an important number that we're waiting to hear, regional transportation, waiting to hear. But perhaps more importantly than those numbers is the minimum local contributions and what that does to the apportionment. So if it were always just an easy, Rowley takes their 32%, Salisbury takes their 38%, and Newbury takes their 29%, that would be lovely, but rarely does it ever work that smoothly. So we will have all that information by next Wednesday. We do not have a meeting next Wednesday night, but you have a workshop on Saturday. We've historically been, the last few years, been meeting up in the conference room, and we sit for some quality time to talk through all of this. We will bring you a summary of all these requests, categorized with an initial pass of what are must-dos. We have no choice but to offer health insurance. The rate is the rate, salary increases, and then cost avoidance, which generally has historically been where it's more cost-effective for us to put a new cost in to build a program so we don't lose 3 students out of district, and then higher and lower priority. So I think we've said this over the past 3 nights, and my weekly scoop with the soup is just a quick video tomorrow, just trying to get parents and the community keyed in to this process. This is going to be a tough road between now and March 15th. We know there's likely going to be little addition and likely some cuts to be able to get to a number that the towns are able to afford this year. So yeah, that is the next step, but on Saturday, the 31st at 8:30, 8 o'clock? 8 o'clock. We start at 8, nice and early. Love that on a Saturday.
Sorry. Paul was asking about school improvement plan votes and when you want to do that. Do you want to do that after district strategy? Because at some point, we have to vote to accept the school improvement plans, I believe, legally.
That we didn't do that. That's why the signature is not on there anymore. I thought of that last night. We can have that discussion. I got to go back and look at that. I was thinking that there wasn't a vote required. That could be.
I think we often do school improvement and district improvement together. I'm not sure if it's just required on district improvement or if it's required on all of them. I feel like it's required on all of them, but I might be wrong. Yeah.
I will clarify, and if they need a vote, I can bring them on that Saturday workshop. Yeah. That makes sense? Okay.
We have a DCC meeting next Thursday at 6:30 in Newbury, correct? So if any of you would like to attend, it's very exciting. Does anybody else have any other questions, concerns? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor? I want to thank all of you for being here tonight, and it takes a village to do what we do, as you've seen from the last 3 nights. I'll see everybody next week at DCC. Good night.